Bitcoin will go lower based on this idea. I recently came across this scenario on Twitter. Here, the author shows us that every time there was some particularly significant news, after which we went lower. And in the year 2022, we reached the bottom after most players had completely capitulated. Right now, that capitulation hasn't happened yet. Essentially, we are at this exact point right now, as it is being shown right here. And we still have to expect a downward movement that will set new lows, where we will accordingly start gathering strength and where most players will give up and exit their positions. It's actually a very interesting and noteworthy thought, because most people right now believe in long-term growth, and it's important to understand that the market can continue to decline and consolidate for a long time, so you need to keep that in mind and view market capitulation and, in general, the fact that we might be stuck here for a long time, not as something bad, but as something inevitable. On the contrary, it's actually good. The market will cool down, weak players will exit, and major holders will accumulate. In the long run, we will still see quite strong growth. So this is your chance, just like it is for the big players, to build up your large positions and then gradually offload them as the market grows further. Now let's move on. You mentioned the MNT coin under the previous review, so I suggest we analyze this token together right now. We start with the weekly time frame. The first thing I do is mark the support and resistance levels. The first resistance level is at 138.53. As we can see, we have approached it many times, and it has acted as resistance for us, which is why I marked it. The other levels are drawn according to the same principle, where the price tends to stop. We won't spend too much time on this now. Now let's switch to the daily time frame. And we can see that the price is currently right in the area of high volumes. And essentially this is exactly what is holding the price back. What's noteworthy? First of all, it's important to point out that we took out the stop orders of the short sellers who had placed them, right above this high. After that, the price started to correct. And now we are in the support zone. This is the 0.6205 level. And here's a very important point. As we know, if we are on a volume shelf, it acts as support for us. If we break through it, then it becomes resistance for us, from which we can take the opposite position, go short, and accordingly aim for the next support levels. Here, the situation is basically the same. We need to wait for a consolidation below this shelf, and in that case, we can take some short positions. What's important? Let me clarify. In order for us to get a good RR here, first of all, we need to look at where our stop will be placed and where our take profit will be. And if we set the safest possible stop, it will be just above the local maximum, and if we set the take profit at the nearest support level, our RR turns out to be not very, let's say, attractive, 0.82. In order to take this position, we first need to see a consolidation below the 0.62 to 0.5 level on the daily time frame. After we see this, we switch to the hourly or 4-hour time frame, and here we need to see confirmation from which we will take the position. That is, after we have finished our consolidation phase, the price comes back to this zone. And here we need to see a similar formation from which we will take our position. It can be either a bit higher or a bit lower, but the essence remains exactly the same. After we consolidate below this minimum, we will look to enter our short position into the position, and accordingly we set our take profit right at this level. If we assume that we will have approximately this kind of top, then already the R. In this case it will be about 2 or maybe even more, which suits us very well for detailed information. How I will enter, I will share in the Telegram channel so you can join. The link will be in the description. But I also suggest not just showing you on the chart how the position plays out, but also keeping a table where essentially we will enter according to several rules. This means holding below or above the volume shelf, entering from a retest or from confirmation of that retest, as I showed in this case. The rules are quite simple. Let's see where this leads. We will have a risk 1%, and in the long term we will understand and see how this strategy performs for us overall. We will keep track of all this in the table, and afterwards I will show it, where we will already be able to see what worked, what RR we achieved, and how much we could ultimately lose. I think it will be interesting. So our idea for MNT is as follows. We watch for consolidation on the daily time frame, and after that we can enter. Honestly, I can't really say much about growth right now, for a simple reason. We need to consolidate above the 0.6950 level. If we do consolidate, that's good. It will be a rather strong signal to move higher. But since we haven't seen that yet, we are considering accordingly short positions. Well, now let's move on to the most interesting part. Bitcoin. And here, in fact, a lot has happened. First of all, I want to point out that we have consolidated on the daily time frame below the dynamic line that I showed last time. And this is quite a serious signal that we might go lower. As we can see from history, when we consolidated below it, we saw a rather strong correction. A 30% drop, which is quite a significant decrease, especially considering the current situation. Let's just make a rough estimation of what potential levels we could reach. And that would be the $50,000 mark. But right now, it's important to understand how we should act and what has actually changed. Since the last review, we've dropped significantly. We weren't able to break out of this range in either direction. We didn't see any growth, and for a long time we didn't see any decline either. But just yesterday, we saw a decline and got a reaction from our support level at 70,832. However, we did not enter from this specific point simply because we did not see any clear confirmation at the time. Ideally, we should have come here and seen the same confirmation that we previously saw with Monty's coins. And only then should you consider opening up a new trading position from here. But we didn't see that happen, and as a direct result, the price action broke right through this level. The next support level, which actually forms an entire support zone, is located at 68,900. Why do I want to draw your attention to the volume shelf here once again? We can see how strongly it stands out compared to the others, and it is a very strong zone for us. It is from here that we will be looking for confirmation, both on the 4-hour and daily time frames. But it is very important for us to keep in mind that it's better not to enter with a limit order right here. Why is that? Because let's take a closer look at the historical price action again. And we will see that even such strong levels can be broken through. We see a very deep price correction. That's why right now it's more important not to make a lot of money, but rather not to lose it, to preserve your capital and then, in a more favorable market, earn bigger profits. So at this point we don't just jump in, we definitely watch for a reaction because it's quite possible that we could see a scenario similar to what happened before. And as we can see, at first there seemed to be some rebounds, but then the price dropped sharply and set new lows. It's the same situation here, so we shouldn't rush and should watch how the price reacts to the 68,900 level. For those who want to go short, it's important to note that the support level at 73,400 has now become our resistance. You can observe this as the price approaches this zone. There might be some reversals, but whether this price will hold is still unknown. And the 70,832 mark will also serve as resistance for us. So if you decide to take any longs within this range, try to do the following. At least take partial profits at the 70,832 and 73,400 levels. That way you can secure profits in a relatively, let's say, safe situation. And by the way, friends, don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on up-to-date information. Reviews are posted here regularly, so to stay informed and not miss anything, make sure to subscribe and don't forget. If you enjoy this content, please give us a like to support us and our team. And now let's move on to APTOS and carefully examine a very interesting situation that's coming up for us. First of all, we're opening up the daily chart time frame, of course. I've already marked out some positions. To start, I'll point out what we have here. There is a significant dynamic support level right here, and that is exactly where the price is currently heading at this moment. I have also clearly marked the range on the chart. This is the high volume trading zone, and essentially we are currently confined within this specific range. We can clearly see how the price moves inside it, and right now, if we happen to close below this level in the next 15 hours, then this entire shelf will become a strong resistance for us. And that represents a very good opportunity for us to take a strategic short selling position. So, if we consolidate below, you can take a short here. ideally with a stop above the local maximum, which is at 1.0133. But in that case, the risk-reward ratio won't be as attractive, just 1.21. But if we take a slightly more local approach and set our stop loss at least above this high at the 0.9758 mark, then in that case, the R will be greater than 2. Which is definitely encouraging for us, so the situation here is the same as with Mantle. We will also manage this position and accordingly provide all the detailed information in the channel. And I just want to add a partial profit taking order at the 0.8525 level. Because this level is currently acting as quite a strong area. We can see a plateau in the volume, and this level has previously acted as resistance for us. It's important not to rush right now and to wait for confirmation because as we can see, previously we broke through and consolidated on the lower time frames, but on the daily chart we still consolidated above this level. Therefore, after we see a confirmed consolidation, we will take a short position with you. I hope today was quite useful. Dear friends, please also write in the comments. Share your coins for the next review. We'll definitely take a look, analyze them, and figure out what we should do next. Thank you for watching, and I wish everyone profits.